little bit about me. Born and raised in Kansas City. Deep basketball background. Dwayne Wade is my favorite player of all time. Grew up watching NBA, and then I started to get into WNBA kind of later. Skylar Diggins was one of the first players that I watched. Then I moved to Atlanta like 2018, and Atlanta Dream was the first team that I worked with. So now, fast forward, done a lot. I've done a lot with the WNBA as well. So again, thank you both for taking time to chat with me. I would love for you guys to do like a quick intro.
Cool. Yeah. My name's Alex Bazzell. I am CEO of Unrivaled, one of the co-founders. Most notably for this interview, I lived in Kansas City for my freshman season, played basketball at UMKC before transferring. So UMKC and Kansas City is one of the very few cities that I've lived in.
Incredible. I've been telling people like, yeah, Alex, he had some time in Kansas City. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, they're always so shocked. So I'm so excited for them to see that. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah, he was in and out. He's not in the trenches like us, but
Oh, period.
yeah, Luke Cooper, one of the co-founders, grew up in Harrisonville, Missouri, which you might be one of the few people in the world that know where that is. I went to UMKC. I was actually a manager for the basketball team at UMKC, while also doing a full-time training business. So that's where my Kansas City roots are still strong. My parents still live in Overland Park. Migrated as soon as I graduated, migrated to Los Angeles, did the training thing full time, which eventually led us to Unrivaled, but certainly deeply rooted in Kansas City.
I absolutely love to hear that. So I'm going to start with an icebreaker, actually. So do you guys have a favorite food spot here in Kansas City, or just a favorite place in general you like?
I mean, I'll go first because I'm not, as Luke said, in the trenches the way you guys are. I like Joe's. Joe's was always like my favorite barbecue spot there. I was in college, so it's not like I really got out there and experienced a ton of great food options, but Joe's was my go-to.
Pretty popular. That's a great choice.
Yeah, you got to hit the barbecue spots. Alex will enjoy this. You might not, but I'm a big Emo's Pizza guy, which is a St. Louis thing. But
Wow.
now they have one in Kansas City. So when I go home, it's like I got to go. All I eat is barbecue and pizza. You got to get the 4 barbecue spots or 5 barbecue spots, and then I always get the Emo's, where it's really only me. My family doesn't really rock with it, but that's where my St. Louis connection comes in.
Interesting. I had Emo's. I spoke at Mizzou a couple weeks ago, and they had Emo's Pizza, and I was like, I can respect it. I actually was just in St. Louis. I think Emo's is good. Like, St. Louis does have good food. I don't have any smoke, transparently, but no, both of those are like great choices. Luke, I am actually surprised you said a St. Louis place, but it's okay. Alex,
Well,
you spent time.
Hold on.
Go
I
ahead.
want to retract that. I led with the barbecue, but then it was
Okay.
like, in addition, you know what I'm saying?
Respect. It's still the show me state, so I can respect that for sure. Alex, as you said, you spent time in Kansas City early in your career. You went to UMKC your freshman year. And now you're helping shape the future of women's basketball. So, like, what stands out to you about this full circle moment?
Well, I think, coming from Missouri, it's rare that, you come from Kansas City, come from St. Louis, really come from Missouri and like end up getting to work with on the NBA side, on the WNBA side, because we don't obviously have teams in our cities. So I think for me, it's cool to see just how many opportunities there are in sports. Like, we're obviously trying to make our mark into making women's basketball even more mainstream than it already is. So, like, look, between Kansas City and St. Louis, it's always been very deep with talent. Like, as Luke alluded to, we worked with a number of athletes from the areas for years. So, like, it's been oozing with talent. There's just never been this, like, very easy segue to get into that industry. So I think it's really cool between Luke and myself. We both kind of found our career paths in a very similar way that's led us to being around and thankfully getting paid to do what we love, which is just be around the sport of basketball.
Yeah, for sure. And I talk about that a lot too, since we don't have professional basketball teams here. There's so much basketball talent within Missouri, like especially Kansas City, and St. Louis, and even just locally in Kansas City, talent that went to UMKC. I know they have like new coaches coming in and like they're trying to recruit more locally because that's kind of always been a thing. But no, that's incredible. Luke, what about you? Like, what stands out about this full circle moment? Like being from Kansas City, now interviewing with the Star, and we have a preseason game coming here soon too.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo what Alex said. It's like the city deserves it. Like, as you know, Kansas City loves sports. They love their college sports. They love their pro sports. It's like it's part of the DNA of the city. And so to see women's basketball start to be brought to the city is important. Like on the men's side, growing up, like I was a Lakers fan because I was a Kobe fan because there was no like once a year there would be an NBA team that would come to at the time the Sprint Center, and it was normally a preseason game. But it's like it's so hard to build fandom if the young boys and girls can't see their favorite players, right? And so I think that's important. What the W's doing with what we're doing with our tour stops to trying to hit cities that traditionally don't get to see these players play is extremely important in growing the game. And like the city just needs it. To your point, like I know UMKC is trying to plant their roots on recruiting local players because those players, they bloom as in Kansas City and then they go to different colleges and it's hard to see them. But the city loves sports. The city loves women's sports. Like it'll be a big part of the city going forward. Is just how they continue to support whether it's us, the WNBA, Kansas, Mizzou, K-State, whatever the case may be.
No, that's incredible. And Luke, I almost literally shouted. I always talk about how the NBA used to travel here and do preseason games here. And I feel like nobody remembers that but me. I literally found on YouTube, and I know I was at this game. It was a preseason Miami Heat game versus OKC Thunder that had like Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook, like, and then they stopped. And, we had the Big 12 tournament here last month. And now upcoming, we have the WNBA preseason game that will be played here. So, I would love for Unrivaled to come to Kansas City, putting the bug in your guys' ear. Seeing the women's professional basketball return here with the Lynx on Monday, even in a preseason setting, like, what does that mean to you guys personally and professionally? And I do want to also say, like, I feel like seeing Unrivaled travel to, like, Philly and New York definitely, like, kind of put things, like, we need to do this now.
Yeah. Well, I think what's exciting is there's an appetite in new cities that don't have teams, like as you alluded to. Like there's a lot of great sports cities. Kansas City's right up there at the top. Like you can see, arguably the best football fan base in the NFL, which is the biggest league in the world, right? So I think it doesn't lack fandom and support. And I think like anything else, you need to build and start from somewhere. So for the WNBA to bring a preseason game there is obviously great. And obviously, as you alluded to, like Kansas City's always been towards the top of our list of eventual spots that we want to go with Unrivaled. And I think what's so unique about like you talked about preseason games and the NBA and the WNBA, I think what's different about when we travel, it's like real meaningful games that go towards standings, that go towards playoffs, but also have all the best players playing at their peak level. Like preseason, you're kind of just trying to get the rust off, right? So like, that's where I'm most excited about our tour and where we can go is like you get to bring the best talent, but talent who's at like its peak in terms of putting on a great show for fans. So that's where I think the excitement is. There's a lot of interest around the country, and Kansas City's just one point of that as well.
Incredible. So what made you guys want to start like an Unrivaled tour? And I agree, like those games were like during the season were like things are on the line. We're trying to make the playoffs. We're trying to like win the championship. Like what made you guys want to travel like mid-season?
It was always part of our business plan. Like we started off small, like we were in a soundstage in Miami with about 1,000 fans. And the sport and the players just kind of deserve more, and I think like you saw it in New York, you saw it in Philly. Like when we pull up to a city for one night, it's almost like when your favorite artist goes on, tour for a concert. Like when you can see, I don't know, an NBA team or WNBA team play 30, 40 times in a city, during a season, like the games are cool. It's whatever. But like when we pull up to Philly for one night, and it's the one time that people in Philadelphia can see these players, like 21,000 people showing up, the energy was unmatched. Like those are the things that like and I'm sure you felt it on TV, but to be honest, like unless you're in the arena, it's hard to explain the energy and the vibe around it. It was almost like a finals game is kind of how we compared it, where if you've ever been to an NBA finals game or a WNBA finals game, like people get there early and everyone's just kind of standing waiting for the game to start. Like game 7, you can feel the energy. That's what our tour stop is. It's like whether we're going to a city that has a WNBA team or doesn't, it's the one time that winter that you get to go see, 10, 12, 13, 14 all-stars all play in one session. And by the way, they're competing really hard. It's like the energy is contagious. It's almost addictive, to where this year, we're gonna scale those stops to a bunch more. And it's just good for the game. It's good for the players and their brands, but ultimately it's good for the little girls that get to watch and experience something that they've never seen or felt before.
100%. And so I used to work for ESPN, and I caught their attention from creating content about women's basketball, and that women's basketball doesn't have a product problem. They have a accessibility and marketing problem. And I feel like Unrivaled really put it on display of like showcasing players' personalities, and like you can really resonate with a player when like you see BG, like was she twerking on the wall? I don't know what she was doing, but it's just like you see these different moments that you don't necessarily get to see. And then having Sephora, the walkway and the outfits, and like traveling to cities like Philly, which I know the Eagles, but Philly is a huge sports city, and to take it there, like, and show like, yeah, there is a market for this. People want it, and like, let's bring it to them. Do you guys have a favorite Unrivaled moment from the past 2 seasons?
Man, that's a good question because Luke and I's days usually go about 12 hours long every day. So we don't get much time to like reflect because we're in such a build mode. But
Yeah.
what I would say is, I think championship game season 1, because it was like, it was the first time we had a chance to like take a deep breath and realize that everything that we set out to build, which takes so many people and hands and investors and pitches, it all came to like fruition, and it was an incredible success, and we were able to accomplish things that I think most people didn't think we could do. So, for that would be probably number 1 for me.
Take it
I
down.
think Philly. I think Philly was the moment for me. So we do our intros a little bit different, where we have the players enter through the stands. So think of like a Drake concert when he would enter through the stands. That's how we did our intros. And so to
Okay.
get to the spot where they have to walk down, you have to like walk through the concourse. And in the first game, like people didn't know what was happening, and it was kind of like, oh my gosh, is that the Phantom? Whatever. The second game, when we were doing the walk, people knew that like it was going to take place, and there was, I don't know, probably 2,000 or 3,000 people lined up just cheering on the players as they were walking from like the elevator to the entrance into the arena where they would walk down the stairs, and that was pretty special. Like just the energy, and feeling and hearing what the players were saying as they were walking. And these are, I mean, it's Paige Beckers, it's Cameron Brink. It's like these are superstars that are
Star.
used to,
Yeah.
fans calling their names. But to kind of live it through them was super important and super cool to me. It was like, all right, this moment's much bigger than all of us. And so I think for me, that's kind of one that stands out.
That's incredible. Like I haven't had a chance to like make it to a game just yet, but I mean just even the home experience, and like the winning score aspect, and like the intensity, and being on threads and just seeing everybody talking in the admins. Like I'm sure you guys have seen like how people have just been like, we love the Unrivaled admins. Like I was Team Breeze. I'm not gonna hold you. Those are my girls. Those are my girls. So it was so many games that I'm just like, I never knew how enjoyable 3-on-3 could be, if I'm being completely honest. And I do love like the innovation of the game, because I also always felt like the women's game wasn't given the respect it deserves. And it's just kind of like, I did my content based on like NBA, because I grew up watching NBA and those different like premium experiences, right? And so I feel like Unrivaled did an incredible job at doing that. So That's exciting. Oh,
Well,
Alex, were you gonna say something?
no, I was going to say thank you. I mean, it was everything we try to do is with intention and purpose. Like to your point, 3-on-3 opens up the game. It really showcases how skilled and talented that these women are.
100%.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I think the advantage for us is we have WNBA All-Stars that come off our bench. Like even for the Breeze, that second wave of talent that comes off the bench is starting WNBA, right? So that's what's really cool about just the overall product. Like we built it with a lot of intentionality, and you get to watch 2 games in a night and not feel like you're just like, oh my gosh, how long have I been here?
Yeah.
Because it's so high paced and it's an intimate atmosphere. And, obviously we aren't going to get everything perfect, but we want to continue to iterate and listen to the fans. To your point on Threads, like we value that community, we value feedback, and we are constantly listening. And thankfully, you have a great team that makes us look really smart on social media and amplifies the players.
No, you can just tell like you guys have great leadership starting with you and it trickles down. Actually, I wasn't gonna say my favorite moment, but low key, I think my favorite moment was Rakia Jackson passing a oop to Dominique Malanga and Malanga dunking it. I think because it goes back to Rakia had a tweet and she was like, I bet not be the one that like get dunked on or something. So it just was full circle. Like I love it. Okay, so Alex, I do, and Luke, I know that you said that you trained as well, but Alex, I will start with you. So tell me more about being a top trainer and training top talent in the NBA and WNBA. Like your list is pretty extensive. Like, yeah, tell me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, it was always about channeling my passion and trying to challenge myself to be the best version of whatever I was going to dive into. And for, 8 to 10 years, it was trying to be the best trainer possible. So I was very fortunate. And actually, one of my connections with UMKC, my college roommate was Kirk Korver, who was Kyle Korver's youngest brother. So we played on Kansas City Roos together. We're college roommates. He became one of my closest friends. He helped actually get me into working out NBA players, Doug McDermott being my first client. So from there, it was like a domino effect. Like you just kind of keep working your way in rooms. And I think inevitably I've channeled that into really anything that I do. And I think the biggest thing that Luke and I probably are most philosophically aligned on is just instilling confidence in players will lead to results. You can work on skill sets, you can do film studies, but like if you're instilling confidence in your clients and your athletes, they're gonna have great results. And if you don't, they won't. And we kind of use that the same way in the business. Like we are highly convicted, we are highly confident in what we're building. It has purpose, it has meaning, and it has a very strong future. And like our job now is to keep that confidence, not just with our athletes, but also with our team members that are looking at us to continue to lead the direction of the company. So, for me, it's always been about the love of the game and trying to really push the boundaries of what can really be done in the sport.
Incredible. And before I get to you, Luke, can you tell me a few people that you actually trained, Alex? I know, but the people want to know too.
Sure, I don't mind name dropping a few. I worked with Trae Young since he was in high school, Kyrie Irving, Carmelo Anthony when he got let go of Houston, worked with him when he got back in the NBA with Portland. So those are probably 3 of my more prominent names. I worked directly for Kobe Bryant once Kobe retired and trained his daughter Gigi all the way up to the accident. And then obviously on the women's side, I worked with Candace Parker and most notably my wife, who I will say is the best player in the world. I won't take credit for that, but I'm very proud of what she's accomplished.
No, that's incredible. Like, let me not be biased. That's incredible. Yeah, I'm like just thinking about the list. Like, I was literally reading it and I'm like, man, like working with Kobe and Carmelo, Kyrie, like Fee and Candace Parker, like these are like Hall of Fame players. And, you being instrumental in their journey is just incredible. Fee, definitely a dog. Luke, what about you? I think you said that you also trained as well.
Yeah, I did. And I think the biggest thing that's helped us is like the business people are also basketball people. And I think that's where startup
That's
leagues
important.
can go a wrong direction when you constantly have to balance what's best for the business and then what's the basketball part and what are the players going to feel like. And obviously Alex with Fee, we always have an inside track to what she's going to feel But it's about the collective 54 players of like, this might help, quote unquote, the business bottom line, but we know that this is not good for the game of basketball, right? Like, same way our fourth quarter was built on the end of basketball games are too long, too slow. Like, how do you get to the point where it's not just a free throw fest? So I think to me, it's our secret sauce. It's transparently why everyone said this wouldn't work is you kind of have two basketball trainers trying to run and build a league, but in reality, it's helped us more than anything because we kind of know what the players want. We also know what is needed from a product standpoint, from a player development standpoint.
100%.
What we're really proud about is our players get better, and the proof's in the pudding. Last year, from year 1 to year 2, players that played in our season compared to their stats in the WNBA the following season, like 3-on-3 leads to development. You can't hide, the ball's in your hand. So that's always part of it for us as well, is like, how do we make sure these players are actually getting better and want to continue to spend their time, in the winter at Unrivaled, and that's part of it. So we're really proud of our background, and it's definitely kind of shaped the path that we've taken with the league.
100%. And you can definitely see player improvement after they've played an Unrivaled. And also, too, the one-on-one tournament. Like, where did that idea come about, actually? And I have a follow-up question, too. But, yeah, where did that come from?
I mean, that's like the purest form of playing basketball.
Come on now. Exactly.
Roll the ball out and play, and like, Alex mentioned Kyrie, Carmelo, like that's how those guys got better. Like they train, but like you got to check the ball up sometimes and play. And I think that's where we give credit to the players is the guys would never do it. It's like there's too many egos involved. There's too many, if, woulda, coulda, shouldas. Like you do have the best players in the world rolling the ball out and playing, and like anything can happen. Someone can get hot. It's make it, take it. It'll get clipped up, put on social, but like that's part of just what makes these women special is like they're willing to do certain things to grow the game, and kind of be seen in a different light. So the credit belongs to them, but that is kind of basketball in its purest form.
I 100% agree. Alex, were you going to say something too, or?
No, I mean, what Luke said is true, and I think the last piece of it is, for the players, they also wanted to change the culture of women's basketball, and like you go by a park and it's usually dominated by men and boys playing pickup. You don't see a ton of it for young girls, women. So it's trying to change the mentality of like you can roll the ball out and just hoop, and to see it from the best players in the world and watch some of the most prominent players of all time kind of like fail and lose a game that they weren't expected. Like that takes a lot of like kind of believing in yourself and not being wrapped up in a result. And I think that's really healthy for young girls to see that, like Brianna Stewart, who lost round 1, didn't score, one of the best players in the history of the game, like, but that doesn't change who Brianna Stewart is. Having young girls see that, I think, is really important too. And that's what I hope. Hopefully you start seeing that cultural shift as you get into parks and pickup and going out and just playing. And it's like, that's such an important part of the development that hopefully like we can help change that mindset.
No, I agree. Alex, you're a little muffled.
Sorry about that.
No, you're okay. Oh, maybe because you were leaning back. Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Okay. No, I completely agree. And I mean, I did see reports that the NBA is trying to possibly implement it for All-Star Weekend. Do you guys think that would happen and players would participate?
Yeah, for enough money. You gotta have a big bag ready to go. But yeah, I mean, you're not gonna see it the way that we have it because it's like you're just not gonna. It's the same way the dunk contest, right? It's kind of lost its luster. Like you will get some names, but it's got to also be worth the investment and the time for them, right? And that's the balance in sports in general. Like I'm hopeful, obviously. Like the NBA continues to innovate and do some really cool things. So I would love to see it happen. I know the first call I'd be making would be Kyrie because that's one guy who's not going to duck smoke.
I literally was gonna say I'll put Kyrie Irving up against anybody. Anybody. That's one of my favorite players. Anybody.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope it happens.
I know, Alex, we need you to make that call, man. Like, we got to make it happen. We got to make it happen. Luke, I know you said that you don't think it'll happen, but like for All-Star weekend, like for the right bag, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it could. Listen, all they need is like 8 players, and they could probably pull it off.
Yeah.
What I would say though is the credits belongs to the women. Like they're to your point, they're
100.
doing it because they've seen it, and now they want to do it. But these games take place. It's just no one sees them. So now they gotta find a way to get it on the main stage, for all the fans.
No, I'm excited to see it. So, taking it back to Kansas City, do you all think that Kansas City is ready for a professional team like an NBA team or a WNBA team? You guys are both from Missouri. So, Alex, you might be biased for St. Louis, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think that, for Kansas City, it's like there's a ton of cities that you could justify having a team down the line. Like I know NBA has always been in conversation with Kansas City because of Sprint Center. So I mean, I think Missouri. I would love to see Missouri have a pro basketball team, whichever way, shape, or form that takes. Obviously, I'm still a little bit hurt from us in St. Louis losing the Rams, so like it's a little sensitive subject about adding teams.
I got
We lose teams where I come from, so but it's a great city. It's a great sports city. It's proven that. But thankfully, that's not Luke or I's decision to make. We'll be supported wherever it goes, but that's one thing that doesn't fall on our plate.
Yes, respect.
I would say they're ahead of their like. They built Power and Light 15 years ago, or however long. It's like they've already built a multi-purpose. You have the arena, then you have the entertainment set up right next to it. Like that is where this space is going. Kansas City's had it for years now, so they're ahead of the game on that. I think you would look at like what's happened with like the Oklahoma City Thunder and like quote unquote
Hmm.
small markets, but like these small markets rally behind their teams and it's true fandom. It's true fans in the seat. The environment and the games are different than, the men's games that like I don't know. Like you go to Lakers games now and it's like it's just celebrity row, which is cool.
Yes.
But from a
And it's
from a vibe
expensive.
standpoint, yeah, I definitely think Kansas City could make it work. I mean, the Big 12 tournament's it's a hit. Um, it's just there's only so many teams and there's only so many options, but I think eventually it'll get there.
Okay, great. That gives me hope. No, I'm constantly tweeting Adam and Kathy, please bring a team here. I'm actually very salty that they announced the expansion teams and it was for Seattle and Vegas. I'm like, stop getting our hopes up. And Alex, to your point, the Chiefs technically are moving to Kansas, so it's like I get it. We in the same boat. I don't know what's wrong with Missouri, but with teams or like Unrivaled traveling to small markets, markets that don't have teams like Philly. And women's basketball, the Lynx will be playing here next week. What does that moment say to you about where women's basketball is right now and like where it's headed?
Yeah, I mean, Luke and I, we spend a lot of time on this. Like, obviously, people talk about women's sports, and women's sports is kind of taking off. But like at the pinnacle of that, by a landslide, is women's basketball. So we're very bullish, and you saw it from we went to a city that doesn't have a WNBA team, won't for 5 more years in Philly. Then we went to a WNBA city that has one of the best fan bases in New York, and we sold out both of those, right? So like we want to come into new markets, new cities, and we all grow up fans, right? You become a fan because of the experience that you have and a memory that you have, and it's usually a family member, a friend. Now you become attached to that team, and you grow to have a favorite player, and that's like the fan journey. So for us, like we want to continue, we're in our infancy, continue to adopt new fans. We have a very diehard fan base, a sticky fan base that we love. But we want to continue to get out there and go to new markets and kind of make our mark in different ways and not just follow the same old blueprint. So I would say what's most appealing to me about Kansas City is there's proof in the pudding with what Chris and Angie Long and the Kansas City Current have done in the NWSL. And they have built that in a meaningful way that is solely focused on that team. There's not a brother team with the MLS. It's like all the investment and energy went towards that, and you can see the results that happen and come from that for the Kansas City Current. So that is what, like, to me is this entire experience has shown is like, if you have intentionality in where you're investing and put all your energy into making the best possible product, then you are probably going to succeed, because there's enough data around women's basketball to say that there's enough interest there. As you said, it just needs to be nurtured a little bit deeper. And I think we're at a very exciting time between what we're building and obviously what the WNBA is doing.
Great answer. That's so exciting. If you can share, do you have like cities that you can share that you will be visiting next season with Unrivaled? Or is it to be
No,
determined?
don't let him answer the question. He's going to give you answers. The answer is no. We'll roll it out when it rolls out, Lex.
Come on, COO.
He don't want to give you a hint. This is where I got to reel him back.
I had to try it. But Luke, I wanted to ask you that same question. Like, you guys again went to Philly, you went to New York, and the Lynx will be coming here to Kansas City next week, and we don't have a team. So what does that say? What does this moment say about where women's basketball is right now and like where it's headed?
Yeah, I think it's huge. It's like forever. Like they would never dream of this, right? Like forever, I think women's sports was put into like, you have to put a city behind the team. And then if you put a city behind the team, name the team, attach a city, the people in the city will care enough to come to the games. Like to go to markets that don't have a city attached, don't have a team attached, like you have to really have fans to pull that off, right?
100%.
So it's extremely impressive. There's, I don't know, what is it now, 15, 16 WNBA teams. That's only 16 cities that get to see these, professional women's basketball players every year. Like, it's just the start. There's hundreds of cities that deserve to see these women across the country and across the globe, to be honest with you. So this will certainly kind of just be the starting point. But it's really good for the game of basketball, like to continue to grow. Professional fandom is like the next thing, right? Like growing up in Kansas City, it was like I was a fan of Kansas Jayhawks. And like then, like I said, you go find your WNBA or NBA team that like maybe you like a player. To bring it to the city, like you still remember the Heat memory, right? So there's going to be thousands of little girls and little boys that go see this Lynx game, next week, that will be their Heat game. And I think that's really powerful and extremely scalable across the country.
I couldn't agree more. I have one more
By the
question.
way, I also remember that game. Like, was it the Heat all the time, or was it just one game that we both remember?
Low key, I feel like the Heat came here twice, but like that's a great question. I'll have to send over the highlight to Tish to send over to you. But I don't know. I just remember I went to 2 games, but I think it was Heat both times. I'm a Heat girly, and I hated the Lakers growing up. No shade, Luke. But you probably was at that game. Like I saw the highlights on YouTube. I was like, oh, my life, my childhood. So it's like a core memory for me, for sure. And this was the Heatles time, like Dwayne Wade, LeBron.
I know, yeah, it was crazy. Anyway.
Absolute cinema. Okay, but I have one more last question. This is the Alex question, but Luke, if you have any sentiments, please chime in. So, no. Alex, I have to ask, I saw it all on Threads when Unrivaled ended. So people were in a tizzy about how the championship game ended. And you had posted on Threads, I believe your post said, winning score, I'd argue, is way better than a timed quarter in regards to like the Miss winning the championship on a free throw. I'd love to hear your reaction or your like reaction to everybody like, oh my God, they won on a free throw.
Yeah, I mean, look, we obviously don't want games to end on a free throw, but it is like what makes it so much a part of our fabric and DNA is the winning score. The game, you're coming to a conclusion, and what I've always hated about basketball, and I played it my whole life and then been a part of it, is like sometimes the last minute turns into 20 minutes of real time, and it's timeouts and fouls and dead balls and advances and challenges, and it's like, oh my God, like, and you know how in like 95% of the time you know who's going to win even during those moments. So it's like we wanted to get rid of that. We wanted to have it more conclusive. We wanted to have energy build, and like if anyone's been in a game and seen like if it's relatively close, like the energy builds towards that moment. And that is something that like I stand behind. Now, we don't want games to end in a free throw, right? We would much rather not. And we've talked until we're blue in the face about how do you solve for that. We haven't found the best solution. really because you don't want people just fouling, checking it up, and leads to injuries and all these other things that elongate the game. So, look, as I've always said, we're always open to ideas. I haven't yet heard one that's going to cause us to change. And what I told our team is right now we're actually 2 years in a row we've ended on a free throw, believe it or not. So third year for us, hopefully it's going to be a charm. Knock on wood, but we'll see.
I love that. I mean, I love the setup, and I love the winning score, like the combined score of the fourth quarter. Like, hey, if someone was on a free throw, you should have upped your game. Like, I don't know what to tell you. That's my humble opinion. Like, I couldn't believe that everybody was like wilding out about that. Like, Luke, do you have any sentiments? Did you see people going crazy over that?
Yeah, I mean, I think internally I was going crazy originally. Like, you want it's such a cool moment when the game ends in a game winner. Obviously, a free throw is anticlimactic, but at the end of the day, you have to play the game, right? Like, a foul's a foul. She still had to make the free throw. It's not like we gave her a point, So now all eyes, all pressure on you at the free throw line. So that's just part of it. But again, to Alex's point, like we're pretty innovative. So if the fans have ideas, like we will certainly listen to them and see if there's anything there.
Incredible. No, I love it. Like, I didn't have any problem. I was salty Breeze didn't make it to the championship. That was my only sentiment, but they should have played better games. But thank you guys so much.